Hi, everyone. You are watching the Self Connection here with Ginny Brown and Kelly Pietro, where we have conversations with a group of ascended masters known as the multitude of the greater good.
Yes, the multitude of the greater good is a collective of spiritual beings, basically ascended masters and higher vibration beings that answers all the questions that Kelly asks, because Kelly is the best question asker. So they answer all the questions and they have access to information from the day of creation to the present time, and their answers are based on that information.
All
So,
right.
so go ahead, Kelly, start asking your questions.
Well, today we have a question from one of our audience members that we'll at least start with and then expand upon that.
Okay.
And so just a reminder to folks, if you want to send in your own questions, not so much personal questions about you personally, that would fall maybe under the umbrella of like a personal one-on-one session you could schedule with Ginny. But if you wanted us to ask a question here on our channel, you can submit it by going to my website, www.themindfulherbalist.com. Click on the menu where it says the Self Connection, and then scroll down and you could submit your own questions. So this question came in via that method. And the question is, what, if anything, should I do about cleansing my pineal gland and opening my third eye? There are many, many postings about this on the internet, and I was wondering what you have to say about it. Thank you for answering my question and for all that you do.
It is important to understand, my dear, that there is no cleansing of any gland. It is a matter of opening one's heart to oneself and allowing the information to flow. There have been many lifetimes that each one on the earth plane has lived, many lifetimes of expansion and understanding, and many lifetimes of allowing one's heart connection. In our estimation, it is a matter of allowing your information to flow. Whether it is that you see it, hear it, know it, does not matter. It is a matter of allowing the information. There are times when one is more, it's like more avid at seeing, and times when there are those who are more avid at hearing, and then there are those who are in the knowing realm. However, we would highly recommend that each one move forward in their highest and greatest, clear, as it is known on the earth plane. Allow that to expand, and in the expansion of the most it's like easily accessible, then you will be able to open to the rest of the clairaudiences, clairvoyances, clairsentiences, all the clairs. However, it is not a matter of clearing anything. It is a matter of opening your heart to yourself, allowing the information to flow, and allowing your highest and greatest indication of being, no matter what you choose to call it, to expand itself, therefore allowing the rest of your parts of self to expand as well. Do not be concerned, all is love.
I love it. I knew they were going to say that. And I
Yeah.
love that because this person is right. Like we hear all the time, oh, you have to decalcify your pineal gland and if fluoride will calcify it. And a lot of the narrative you hear is a bit conspiratorial, where it's like they put fluoride in our water to keep us from um, to calcify our pineal gland and keep us from accessing our intuition. And when I hear that narrative, it feels very disempowering. And what I've learned from the multitude is that like we're always in charge of ourselves.
Mhm. It is also important to understand, my dear, the pineal gland is a physical aspect of being, and the heart self is it's like a dimensional aspect of being. And when one can open one's heart on the dimensional level, the physical pineal gland takes no part in the connection. It is attributed to the connection. However, it is part and parcel of its own physical being.
So interesting. I love that. I love when they demystify stuff.
Yeah. Because I know for me, on the same type of subject is that I am primarily clairaudient, but also clairvoyant, clairsentient, clear knowing. Those things are less predominant than the clairaudience, but I have them all. And as I continue to work through and expand one, the others will expand as well. So I would encourage anyone to not worry about clearing anything, but to focus on expanding the clear that they have.
Yeah, and just for those who like some of this language might be new, um, the clairs that the multitude speaks of it's the language we have for how we sense energy as individuals. So you might sense energy claircognizantly, which is clear knowing, which is when a knowing drops in, when you just know things and you don't know how you know them because you're connecting to your higher wisdom. There's clairvoyance of seeing energy. So oftentimes we associate that with like seeing ghosts, but you can see energy in different ways. A lot of people maybe can see auras. Sometimes that's out in the world. Sometimes it's more in your mind's eye. Clairaudience is clear hearing. And so that's hearing energy. So you might say like, and then I heard stop. Like if you hear someone like telling a story about, I knew, that's claircognizant. I heard is clairaudience. I saw this thing and it made me stop. Or, when people are talking about their intuition or their gut feels, clairsentience is clear feeling. So where you feel energy in your body, you can feel sensation in your body. And then I say clear empathy for feeling emotion. And that's where like the empath comes in of like feeling someone else's emotional state. A sadness comes over you, you don't know where that came from, and perhaps you are very in tune with picking up on other people's emotions, their energy that way. Ginny, is that a good summary? Do you want to change anything or add anything?
Well, the only thing I would add is that, for my clairvoyance, I usually see it in my mind's eye. I don't necessarily see a manifestation on the earth plane of anything. It's usually in my mind's eye. And I sometimes will see a picture. Lots of times they'll show me pictures of flowers, and then they'll add that into their discussion. But sometimes you can see a movie, sometimes you can see a picture, sometimes you see a whole scene. Whatever it is you need to see, you'll see. But mostly it's for me within my mind's eye.
Yeah, same for me. There's only been one time where I saw something, well, like I don't know, I guess a spirit or a ghost I saw outside of my mind's eye. That's only been once, but certainly we can pick up on energy, other people's energies by looking at them and seeing through body language, through facial expressions and micro expressions. That is also, I attribute that to reading energy visually, which perhaps could fall under the umbrella of clairvoyance.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's clairgustance and clairalience, which I always get those two mixed up. One is taste and one is smell.
The audio, alliance is smell and gustance is taste.
So like a lot of mediums will be like, I'm smelling cigarette smoke. Did he, if they're reading you and they pick up on someone, did your grandfather smoke a cigar or a cigarette? That kind of thing.
I did smell smoke one time. It was weird, but I knew what it was. I knew why I was smelling it. So think it was cigar smoke, and I believe it was my grandfather. But mostly it's just a reminder of who that person is or was on the earth plane, because my connection is on a higher level than earth, this lifetime
Yeah.
connection. Yeah.
Some of the ways that those two have shown up for me is I'll go and play at a local place that used to be a psych ward. And when I'm in this building that I play pickleball at, I can smell amoxicillin. Nobody
Uh-huh.
else can smell it. I'm like, do you guys smell that? And they're like, what are you talking about? And then I can taste it in the water too.
Oh,
Um, so, and there's a lot of energy, you know what the place I'm talking about, Ginny, right?
wow.
Um, so I picked it up that way, but also I think a mother's intuition, like I remember when my kids were little, I could smell illness on their breath before it manifested in the body. And that's another way to, you know. Okay, well, I didn't think we were going there with that, but I like it. I love the door that they opened on that one.
Never know where you're going to go.
I know, it's great, but I think it's really like how freeing is that to hear, like, you don't need to decalcify your pineal gland. Everything you want to access is there without you doing anything.
Yeah.
But it does take me to another topic that's on my list here, which is diet. So a lot of people who are working to strengthen their intuitive senses or think that are beginning to implement practices that they deem spiritual, they might implement new dietary, whether it's restrictions, whether it's fasting, um, like things that they think might create karma. So like not eating meat from animals, right? So in other words, like you're not killing an animal, you're not creating karma that way. And so, but then again, like if you're eating plants, you're taking that life. So I guess if the multitude could share with us what is true on that topic.
It is important to understand that each one has their own opinion on many things. However, we can tell you none of that is attributable to one's ability to open to oneself. None of that is a participant in one's opening to one's own clairs, one's own gifts of being. If one chooses to eat a big meal and then go ahead and go and channel, for instance, there is no problem. If one chooses to not eat and go channel, the only problem would be is that person would be hungry. It does not matter what it is that one does on the earth plane in that respect. What matters is that one opens one's heart self, one's knowing self, one's being self to who one is, rather than the earth etiquette or non-etiquette. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Fabulous. I love that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What do
Because
you,
I have heard about, if you're going to do Reiki or something, that this person who was teaching it, she didn't eat, she just drank certain things, like it's like, and then when I channel, I've asked about it and they said, it doesn't matter, you know, your body adapts anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I love how they just kept it real, like you might be hungry.
Yeah, you might be hungry.
I mean, I definitely, I will say this, well, this is just my personal experience. So something I noticed more recently is like, um, you know how they say like you could be an emotional eater?
Yeah.
And I noticed that, I mean, that's definitely been part of my history. emotional eating.
Yeah.
And so and when I think, maybe this is me being too heady about it, when I think about it, is like, oftentimes I can sense energy in my body. I can just sense it better when I am not shoving food in my face. And then it's almost like because I would go to these like outings and there'd be a lot of like sugar there, right? Like desserts and like little snacks on the table um, and those events were a lot for me to I feel like I was processing a lot. I was processing a lot of people's stories, their emotions. I didn't know how to um, I didn't have good boundaries at that point to like be able to be like, that's not mine. You don't have to process it. You know what I mean? So I felt like I was processing a lot, but then somehow like eating, my body now had to process the food. And so it kind of numbed the feeling, the other sensations, the psychic sensations. So I kind of like wondered, is that what was actually happening? Is that why I was emotionally eating to numb the other feelings? Because now my body is focused on digestion, but it sounds like they're not, they're two separate processes and maybe don't relate.
It is important to understand that your process, my dear, is quite different. You allow yourself to put yourself into the shoes of another. It is not necessary for you to be in those shoes. It is necessary for you to remain in your own shoes, in your own knowing, in your own understanding. When one comes to you with a problem or a malady of being, you decide that it is right for you to take on that malady and feel all the parts of it. In our estimation, it is how you operate. However, it is not necessary. It is most appropriate for you to listen, to allow, to give them the opportunity to feel their own feelings, and for you to be in support of what they know. It is not necessary for you to take it on. It is important to understand that as it is at this moment, you are well aware that you are doing it. You will be able to allow yourself to stand straight and tall in your own shoes and allow others to stand straight and tall in theirs. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Yeah, I feel like I've made progress, but certainly it's just even like before we started recording, Ginny, when we were talking about, I don't actually don't remember what we were talking about, but I said if I let myself go there. Oh, now
Yeah,
I remember. We were talking about a friend, and it was like if I let myself go there, I can get overwhelmed,
right,
but I
right.
don't let myself go there. So I feel like I've been practicing not doing that, but I'm sure I still have a ways to go because I've been doing it my whole life without knowing it.
A matter of detachment, because if you're there in those shoes with that other person, you can't be there for that other person. You need to stay in your shoes, let them be in theirs. Then you can be there as a support for that person. You can help them through what they're going through. You can help them by allowing them to know what you know, or just sharing what you know, and allowing the situation to unravel. However, when you stand in someone's shoes, you cannot access yourself. You access them. Do not be concerned.
I totally can feel that. Like, I know the difference of when I'm doing it and when I'm not. The interesting thing is that since like opening this practice, I feel like I can stand in my own shoes, as they're saying, so much easier and just listen.
Mhm.
It's almost like because they're here to be helped.
Right.
So somehow I know how to separate that so that I can be of help. Whereas sometimes, like just hanging out with friends, it's harder to do that, believe it or not.
Yeah, I believe it. It is. Because you
Yeah.
want to help. You want to help. You want to do what you can do for them.
Yeah, but they're not asking for it. So that's the difference.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, I think like,
Sometimes they do ask, so don't be
yeah,
hard on yourself on that.
Yeah, sometimes they do. So I should be ready for that rather than like over empathizing.
Yeah,
Okay, so I guess what we're talking about is being empathic, right?
pretty much.
So that's where I think of like clear empathy. And I do associate that with the heart chakra for some reason. That's just my own thing.
Yeah.
So this was a short one, Ginny. I think we're gonna wrap it up on this. I really I feel like they kind of all go together because, you know, what's really cool for our listeners and our viewers to see here is how there's so many conversations out there in the world about rules, how it is you are to do something. Step one, decalcify the pineal gland. Okay, how do I do that? Well, you got to do a cleanse and you got to take these herbs and you got to make sure you do this every day. And there's like rules and and perhaps those things help people to step into their own knowing, but they're not necessarily requirements of knowing, of stepping into your knowing. They can be tools, but it's not like a requirement for all. It's not like a one size fits all type of thing. So I think it's good to, as you're exploring and you're listening to other teachers out there and other people sharing their stories and what they've done, that they may or may not help you, or they may or may not apply, and they may or may, they're very likely not a rule. Like there's not a lot of rules with this kind of stuff. If it feels and sounds disempowering, then it probably is.
Yeah, I think the only real rule is to allow yourself to connect with yourself. Allow yourself to feel your own feelings. Allow yourself to share you with you, which sounds silly, but it's what it is.
It doesn't sound silly. It sounds simple, but sometimes it's hard to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's the key, is that this stuff, it is simple. It's just sometimes really hard to do.
Because we tend to get in our own way and our mind gets going. It's like, what if this? What if that? I should do this. I shouldn't do that. Well, there is none of that. You just breathe and just allow yourself to know who you are, what it is that you want, what it is that you need, what it is that you want for you. And that's how one way to allow yourself to connect with yourself.
Yeah, and I think if you're following anyone that's preaching stringent rules about how it is to accomplish, like the more rules you put around it, the more restrictions and limitations you might be putting around yourself to actually access your own knowing. So,
Right. Right.
so if the multitude has a closing statement for this short episode, we'd love to hear from them.
We would like you to understand that you have covered a great deal, even though this is a short episode. It is most important that people understand the differences between the clairs and that there are such things as clairvoyance, clairsentience, clear cognizance, clear abilities. It is important to understand that each one has come to the earth plane with these abilities intact. It is a matter of each one allowing themselves to open to each one as they are there for the asking. It is a matter of understanding that when one moves forward in any one of these abilities of being, one is able to expand all. It is important to understand that some are more predominant, that is true, but each one is able to be accessed on many levels of being. Do not be concerned. We would also like each of you to understand that as it is that you move forward in this place of being on the earth plane, that you allow yourself to understand that you have chosen to come to the earth plane. You have chosen to bring your sense of self and being, your accuracies, your love of life, your ability to understand, that part of you that knows, that part of you that gives, that part of you that understands. all of those parts of you, you have chosen to bring them with you to the earth plane. Therefore, you have the ability to expand in many ways. Do not be concerned. We would highly recommend that each of you allow yourself the knowing that you are doing the very best that you can. You have come to the earth plane to expand your knowing, expand your being, expand that part of you that allows. It is important to understand it is quite an achievement when one does. Do not be concerned, all is love. There you go.
Can I ask a quick yes or no question?
Sure, you can ask. Go ahead.
The clairs and what we're covering today, are these some of the teachings that Jesus was trying to bring in his life as Jesus or Yeshua?
It is important to understand that Jesus, my dear, was quite empathic indeed. He was able to allow himself to experience others' feelings, others' experiences on the earth plane. Therefore, he knew within himself how to bring to him what he needed. Therefore, he could share what he knew with another. It is not a matter of feeling another's feelings. It is a matter of understanding what another is like experiencing. Therefore, able to allow yourself to share your knowing and your learned capacity, your understanding, and allowing another to be who one is. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was a good one. That was concise.
Yeah, oh yeah, they are.
Maybe we'll do another episode on the clairs. I mean, I feel like we kind of cover them a little bit here and there, but it's nice to have one just
Yeah.
on this topic. So
Yeah.
thanks to our viewer for bringing up the question about the pineal gland that led to all this great discussion.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
And I think we'll wrap it up there, Ginny. Thanks for always being such a clear channel, bringing through truth or what is true and helping to demystify some of the more esoteric concepts.
I'm happy to do it. Thank you for all your questions. So,
Anytime. I'm full of them.
looking forward to next time.
Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time on the Self Connection.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.